Welcome to the Box Score Network Waiver Show. My name is Peyton. Joining me as he always does is my brother Parker, and we are here to help you once again find some guys off the waiver wire that are going to help you win your fantasy football leagues. I'll be honest, this is a little bit lighter of a waiver week, Parker. Not as many, heavy pickups, but there's one big injury that a lot of people are going to be picking up guys for, specifically the Omarion Hampton injury. So people in need of running backs probably going to reach for one of two guys. I'll probably go ahead and start us off pretty quickly by getting into those guys. And it's Kamadi Vidal and Hassan Haskins. Problem is, I don't even know that I would be picking up these guys because I'm not even sure which one's going to be the guy. So I think if you're desperate for a running back, you could do it. But both these guys are basically not rostered anywhere. They're like 3 to 5% rostered in most places. And yes, the Chargers are going to run the ball. Problem is that whenever it's not definitively one guy, right, you're going to kind of run into maybe the situation that Gus Edwards was in last year, where he was just getting a few carries here and there, but was never really fantasy relevant. And I wonder if that's what we're going to have here with these two guys.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like we're kind of going to run into a point of like, who is the one? Who
Yeah.
is the guy that I need to be putting in my lineup? Who is the guy that I need to be starting in my flex spot if he's going to get all these carries? Like I think we're going to see a flux or a fluctuation of carries given to both these guys, and it might take a while for one to get comfy, even if one looks good early.
Now, I will say the good thing is they are kind of two different types of backs. Like Vidal is more of a smaller, speedier, get outside type of back, whereas Haskins is literally just like
Up the
run up
gut.
the middle and get the short yards and just be a bruiser. So
Right.
there at least is like some kind of idea that both can at least be flexible, or maybe if you're like a desperate running back two play, you could theoretically start both these guys on separate teams. Obviously, don't get them on the same team. That would be terrible. Um, However, it's just kind of a situation I think I might just want to let everybody else bid their money on or use their waiver claim on and just avoid the landmine, is my opinion.
Yeah, I could agree because I wouldn't even know where to value those players at as far as Fab goes. If you're in
Yeah,
a Fab league, like I wouldn't even know where to start the bidding at. Which
right.
you actually ran into that with Darius Slayton, I think
Yeah,
it
I know.
was this
Which
week.
that's a different situation because that's a
Yeah,
wacko league. That doesn't make any sense.
it
So,
is. It is. But you get what I'm saying. It could be one of those scenarios where it's like
right,
I don't know what everybody else is willing to pay for these guys. So,
right.
well, my first guy, I like it a lot more if Mac Jones is starting, but Kendrick Bourne for the San Francisco 49ers. He had one good week, and I don't think this is like a burner. This isn't a mid. This is more of a stash pick of like, hey, this guy just played 81% of snaps this week. Ricky Pearsall's not being isn't healthy. Like Juwan Jennings isn't healthy. We had the conversation all year long in the offseason of like, who's going to be the one? Who's going to be the guy? Who should I draft first? Juwan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall? Like, obviously, there's nobody. Like George Kittle's not there anymore either. They have to throw the ball to somebody. So as a stash option, I love Kendrick Bourne. Throw him on your bench. Pick him up for cheap this week. See if something develops there.
Now, my only thing about Kendrick Bourne is that yes, he had a great game, but I wonder if his how do I say this? I think it's possible that his value might be short lived because you have to think the guys that the 49ers have coming back are definitely going to take over the snaps a little bit for him. It's, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle's going to be coming back soon. So I think it is more. I'm glad you at least put it in the stash category because you're probably not spending a ton on him, right? Or you're not going to try to because he's a good stash in the sense that if Pearsall or Jennings has like a setback, then he's immediately fantasy relevant, right?
I think he's fantasy relevant too. If let's say it has nothing to do with Pearsall and Jennings, like if Brock Purdy isn't healthy, like Mac Jones, this is a familiar face to him. Like this is a guy that he's already played with in New England. This is a guy he's already thrown the ball to. This is a guy he's already studied his route tree. He already knows his tendencies. I'm not saying that Kendrick Bourne is going to be the wide receiver one in San Fran, but if Mac Jones is playing quarterback in San Fran and Kendrick Bourne is on the offense, Kendrick Bourne's going to get some looks. So as a stash, throw him on your bench. If you got somebody down there like Calvin Ridley, you might as well take your shot on Kendrick Bourne and get Calvin Ridley off your team.
That's fair. My other this is a mid pickup, I would say, and this is mostly for the guys who don't have tight end figured out, right? Mason Taylor for the Jets. he had 9 catches this past week, and it looks like the Jets are going to be playing from behind a lot this year. He's a rookie, so they have a lot of incentive to try and like develop him, get him involved in the offense heavily, and like it looks like he's probably the second pass catcher aside from Garrett Wilson to this point, especially in
Mhm.
regards to targets. And if the thing is at tight end is like if you're catching balls, it doesn't matter necessarily like how many yards you have. He caught 9 balls. That's 4.5 points. You only need like 35 yards to be a decent start at tight end, right?
I mean, if you look at Justin Fields too, like the last two teams he's played on, like when he played for the Bears, like it was a two tight end set. It was Cole Kmet, and then they who else did they had somebody else too that was there. But then when he went to the Pittsburgh, it was Pat Fryermuth and somebody else as well that was there. Like he's always had that tight end
Right.
connection. So to your point, having Justin Fields as that quarterback is also a big thing for this pickup as well. It's a big contributing factor.
Now, I think that I probably wouldn't burn like a high end waiver claim on it. Like none of this, like I said, it's just not a good necessarily waiver week. It's
Mhm.
just more like guys that you can take shots on that maybe they develop into, and it's really only in cases where you're like pretty desperate for guys as well.
Right,
Like in the case of Mason Taylor, where it's like if you just got a tight end that ain't doing nothing for you, like he's at least going to be involved, right?
right, right.
Um, as far as your other player, Parker, I know you said you only had two. Who is your other player for this week?
So this is a guy that got a lot of targets, and he's playing with a quarterback that just started this week, first week, and it's Isaiah Bond for the Cleveland
Okay,
Browns.
okay.
Isaiah Bond got 7 targets. He's since week 3 has now played more than 50% of snaps in all 3 games. Before that, he was in like the 30s and 20s, so he is getting some progressive to getting some work on the offense. And like I said earlier on our podcast, like Jerry Judy is the number one option there. Like there is a gap there where there is a need of a playmaker in the wide
Especially
receiver room.
especially with Tillman on IR, because he was
Right.
kind of that guy, and now that he's gone, they do need Bond to step up and fill that
Who,
role.
who's that speedy? I think he's like 5'11. Like he's just he's that gadget type receiver that I think Dylan Gabriel could really benefit from knowing that as a rookie quarterback, short yardage situations they usually help you out a lot. Like the guys that run the 5 to 7 yards in slants, out routes, those kind of route trees. And then Isaiah Bond can also get vertical. So I think it's a play on both in an offense that's missing some touches. And I don't think this is a stash, but I also don't think it's a burner. I think he sits in my mid category of like, hey, take a shot on this guy. He's a rookie. There's a rookie quarterback. There could be a connection there.
All right, and I mean I really only have one more guy for us this week, and this is like the stash of all stashes. This guy, and he was picked up a little bit last week by some guys, but he's still only 15.4% owned, and he is playing tonight. So keep that in mind whenever you're watching this. It's Brashard Smith, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, rookie running back. He is. Here's the thing.
That's the Ron Swanson of stashes right there. Just so you know, like that is like
It is
stash
like,
of stash.
well, I mean, he is a little bit owned and like has been getting some work, but it's really just a bet on like none of these guys have really asserted themselves as the running back in Kansas City.
Mhm.
And at least Brashard Smith has the role of the pass catching running back. And I think
Okay.
that's really what it is. It's like at least you know what he is, and if he's a rookie. So of course, like rookies just take time for them to get more involved. And I wonder if they just maybe start to play with him a little bit more and see if he has a little bit more in the tank than like Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt have. That's all it is. So that is all we have for this week as far as our pickups go. Last thing we want to look at is a look back to a few weeks back. We want to start doing this where we look back at our waiver picks and see if we actually did help you guys or not. And this week we have our week 2 pickups. The list of guys that we had are Daniel Jones, we had Troy Franklin, Tyler Algier, Hunter Renfro, De'Ami Brown, and Dontavian Wicks. So I would say that like those are pretty good. I mean, I think Daniel Jones unequivocally is like pretty good pickup. Like he's been a solid starter most weeks. If you didn't have a quarterback or if you were, because I think at that point if you had Justin Fields for instance and he was out with a concussion, you needed a starter. Like you probably just stuck with Daniel Jones at this point.
Right.
Troy Franklin, I think he's still going to be getting more involved on a week to week basis. Had some pretty important catches this past week, but I think it's going to look brighter days, he'll have brighter days ahead of him. Tyler Algier, still like a high end handcuff who has some flexibility if you need him to, right?
Right.
Hunter Renfro kind of hasn't really been super
Now
involved,
he's
unfortunately.
projected 5.5 points this week.
Yeah. Diami Brown, kind of same situation, has had like fringe involvement. And then Wicks is still TBD for me because like like in his short career has historically had these just boom or bust games. And so like I have a feeling that maybe he's just going to have like a 27 pointer and he's going to be on another waiver show here in like 3 or 4 weeks. So,
We're gonna be like, yep, we called it.
yeah,
Week 2.
exactly. So, with that said, guys, thank you for watching this week's waiver show. It's probably a shorty, but still a goodie. And Parker, go ahead and get us out of here.
All right, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Good luck to all your number one. Like, remember, me and Peyton aren't fantasy gurus. We're gonna get some stuff wrong. Just hope that you weed out the wrong picks and pick the right picks. Check out all of our box score teammates, so to say. We have a lot of people on the network talking all kinds of stuff, especially middle of football season. You have the guys on In the Flat talking college. You have Ben and Austin doing their start and sit 'em. You have Simon and I'm missing somebody, Robertson, on the podcast group as well. Go check all these guys out. They're all on the YouTube. They're all on Spotify. They're all on Apple Podcasts. So check us all out, and we'll see you guys next week.